Good morning, Healthy Living OKC. My name is Stephanie, and I'm the program manager here at Healthy Living OKC. I'm glad each one of you is able to tune in this morning for our second annual fall prevention here at Healthy Living OKC. It's a little rainy outside, so it's kind of a perfect day to grab a tea or a cup of coffee and just get in a comfy chair and sit back and kind of learn some essential information that you'll need to know on how you can prevent falls for both yourself and your loved ones. As many of you know, falls are common. According to the National Council on Aging, about 25% of older adults in the U.S. will fall each year. Although falls do seem common, they suggest that this isn't something that we should consider a normal part of aging. So today we're thrilled to have 4 guest speakers who will cover everything from the financial impact and the risk of falls, as well as the physical and environmental changes you can make to help prevent a fall. I know we're going to learn some invaluable information, and I'm looking forward to hearing from each one of our guest speakers today. So we're doing it a little different this year. Obviously, we're on Facebook Live, so it's going to allow us to reach more people on Facebook Live, but also you still have the ability to ask questions live. So as a question comes up, just go ahead and put it into the comment section. I'll be keeping track of them off screen, and I will share them with each speaker at the end of their turn. So we'll do a Q&A at the end of each speaker. So go ahead and throw your questions in there. We'll get started with our first speaker today, Madelyn Maxwell. She could not be more perfect for our talk today. She is the Healthy Aging and Falls Prevention Project Coordinator for the Oklahoma State Department of Health's Injury Prevention Service. To advance statewide prevention, Madelyn engages cross-sector state and community stakeholders to implement strategies to reduce fall-related morbidity and mortality, promote healthy aging, and improve older adult health outcomes. Madelyn joins the Injury Prevention Service with a background in gerontology and experience as an activity coordinator and marketing coordinator for senior living communities. Madelyn is passionate about facilitating ways for older adults to build positive relationships and connections to strong support systems. So if you could please help me welcome Madelyn. Let her get in here. Thank you so much for coming today.
Hi everyone, I want to first thank Stephanie and Healthy Living OKC for having me today. I'm kind of going to go over, what a fall is, our risk factors for falling, and also what we can do to prevent falls. So a fall actually has a definition, and that is defined as an event which results in a person coming to rest inadvertently on the ground or floor or any other lower level. First, I want to talk about falls in the United States. 1 in 4 Americans over the age of 65 falls each year. Falls are actually the leading cause of injury and most common cause of non-fatal trauma-related hospital admission. And each year, over 300,000 adults over the age of 65 has a hip fracture, and 95% of those hip fractures are actually caused by falling sideways. And, a growing number of adults, they kind of fear falling. But I want to say that falls are not a normal part of aging, and falls are preventable. And falls can actually have a huge impact on quality of life. Falls are actually the leading cause of why older adults lose their independence. There's actually also a cost of falls. So each year in the United States, $50 billion is spent on non-fatal fall injuries, and $754 million are spent on fatal fall injuries. Here on your screen is kind of a graph of the cost of falls in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma is actually home to 575,000 adults over the age of 65. And as you can see, This data is from 2016 to 2018, and you can see that the cost of falls has increased every year. This graph, you can see unintentional fall-related death rates by age group and gender. So as we age, we have an increase of falling. In this graph, you can see unintentional fall-related death rates of older adults by age group and year of death. So now I kind of want to go over the risk factors of falls. So we have a combination of risk factors, and the three most common ones are physical, behavioral, and environmental. Now, your physical risk factor can be such as climbing upstairs, or say it's Christmas time and you're putting up Christmas lights and you climb a ladder. Our behavioral can be also that, but also say we're reaching for spices that are on a higher shelf. And our environmental can be going somewhere that we're not used to and we're not assessing our risk of falling. Maybe you're going to a new church, or you're going to your granddaughter's house and you're used to having grab bars in your bathroom and those aren't there for you. So our risk of falling may increase when we change our medication. Maybe we have a new illness that we're not used to, chronic pain. Maybe you're having lack of sleep, or you become anxious, or you become inactive. I know a lot of our lives have changed since COVID-19, and maybe we're not exercising as much as we should. Also, it could be because we moved to a new home, or it could be because we've changed walkers or are using a new cane. We also have, if we change medications, our risk of falling may increase. There may be a side effect. Side effects can include dizziness, unsteadiness, or sleepiness. And we also want to reiterate that you should use only one pharmacy, because once we get acquainted with our pharmacist, they can help us with our medications if we're taking one or more. Also, it's very important to read labels on your medications because each medication is different. And when you're talking to your doctor, whether it be in visit or telemedicine, that's your time. So make sure it's a priority for you to talk to your doctor about medications you are taking. Also, vision has an increase of fall risk as well. Maybe if you have macular degeneration or glaucoma, it's very important to get a yearly eye exam. Also, if you're used to wearing bifocals or trifocals, make sure you take the time to adjust your eyes in a new environment. Also, if you have cataracts, it's very important to talk to your doctor. And if you decide to have that surgery, take the time to have your eyes adjust to that surgery. Also, blood pressure and fall risk. It's very important to measure our blood pressure. If you start to notice you're getting dizzy when you're standing up, you might want to ask your doctor to check your sit-to-stand blood pressure. And sometimes we might not even know we have high blood pressure, so it's very important to talk to our doctor if you have that concern. Also, chronic conditions may lead to fall risk. About 80% of older adults over the age of 65 have at least one chronic condition, and 68% have two chronic conditions. So diabetes, arthritis, or you may have had a stroke and that can kind of change your mobility, Parkinson's disease, or chronic pain, or even depression. So what can we do to prevent falls? Because we must remember that falls are not a normal part of aging and they are preventable. So we can exercise regularly. I know at the Healthy Living OKC Center, they have a lot of wellness programs that you can get involved with. Also, like I said before, only using one pharmacist so they can assess your medication, having your annual eye exam, And you also can improve your home lighting, such as night lights. I know if you have to get up in the middle of the night, it may be dark. I've done that before and can't see anything. So having night lights around your home. And we can also reduce our home hazards. So it's very important to make your home safe. If you spill anything, make sure to clean up that spill on the floor as quickly as possible. Clearing walkways. If you have a lot of magazines or extra clutter in your home, maybe moving that to a space where it's out of the way. Also, I know throw rugs are beautiful and I love to have them in my home, but make sure they are either glued down or tacked down to your floor so there's no tripping hazards. Also, keep items that you use daily on a lower shelf. You can also put non-slip rubber mats in your bathroom or in your shower. Use handrails as much as possible, especially if you're in a new environment. And also, like I said, having night lights around your home or just improving your lighting in your home. Also, another way to prevent falls is Tai Chi, moving for better balance. This can improve balance and physical performance and also help improve your gait. This is actually shown to reduce falls by 55%. And I know Healthy Living OKC has Tai Chi. If you're not taking a class, I always remind people that we're aging every day and you can start a class at any time. And it's fun. And here's a little bit about Tai Chi, moving for better balance. It is a century-old Chinese practice designed to exercise the mind and body through a series of gentle flowing postures. And it's 8 forms derived from the 24 Tai Chi forms that emphasizes weight shifting, postural alignment, and coordinated movement. And there are so many benefits to Tai Chi. It can improve our balance and posture, your functional limitations. It also strengthens muscles, and it can build confidence from the fear of falling. It can also improve your mental and physical health. It improves cardiovascular functions, quality of sleep, enhances stigma, and increases energy level and relieves stress. I also want to take the time to talk about National Council on Aging. This week is Falls Prevention Week, and they have a falls-free checkup, which you can go to online, and it's a 12-question answer, and you can see if you have a risk of falling. They also have videos that you can do at home, like exercises. I know a lot of us are still in our home, so it's important to see those videos and get exercising. Also, they have practical tips to help you not fall. And they also have a Facebook Live today. That would be great to view as well. And lastly, I just want to say that even though falls are preventable and they're not a part of aging, if you do happen to fall, it is very important to contact your doctor, especially if you're taking any blood thinning medications like Coumadin. It's very important to call your doctor because there may be internal bleeding that we don't know about. So call your doctor if you do fall, but falls are preventable and not a normal part of aging. And I want to thank you all for having me, and I hope you got some preventative tips today.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, so we learned quite a bit about the top 3 reasons we might fall, whether it's physical, behavioral, or environmental. So with our upcoming speakers, we're going to talk about at least 2 really topics. So we'll go ahead and move on into our next speaker. Thank you. So the next speaker is going to look similar to me here at Healthy Living OKC. Our very own Dr. Pinkerton. So Dr. Pinkerton is a nurse practitioner. Dr. Pinkerton is a nurse practitioner at SSM Health in New York. Possesses over 2 decades of experience in the medical field. She earned her bachelor's degree in nursing from the University of Oklahoma and a doctorate in nursing practice from Oklahoma State University. She's experienced with people not just as a career but as a calling. She provides primary care and urgent care services here at Healthy Living OKC with an emphasis on health promotion Today, Tenessa is going to talk about medication management and the ways that this can help Thank you so much for being here. And if you have your questions in the Facebook Live, and we'll be sure.
Thanks, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. For those of you who recognize me, know who I am. Thanks for the introduction, Steph. I want to go over a few things regarding fall prevention awareness, specifically focused on medications. I cleverly titled my slides, "Don't Let Medications Trip You Up." So if you need a little chuckle this morning. Medications, for the discussion points on this, we're going to go over a quick basic overview of falls. Madelyn did an awesome job going through pretty much all of that, but we'll focus a little bit more on medications, kind of go over why they might be a risk factor, overall utilization of medications. We'll touch on polypharmacy, what that is, what that looks like, and how it affects falls, which medications in particular carry the highest risk, as well as what you can do to help prevent falls related to medications, who can help you with questions or a medication review. So, sometimes I'm not a very good driver. Basic overview of adult falls, like Madelyn said, they are common. More than 1 in 4 older adults will fall yearly. Costly, that estimated $50 billion annually is spent on falls. And of course, like she said, they are preventable. And of all of those aspects that you can use to prevent falls, medication is actually one of the most modifiable risk factors for falls. Why are medications a risk factor? Well, for this talk in specific, I want to clarify that medications include both prescription as well as over-the-counter medications and even herbal supplements, as well as the medicinal marijuana. Most are helpful and necessary, but some of them carry a much higher risk of fall with them. So it's important to know which ones those are and where you kind of lay in the spectrum. Fall risk increases also with the number of medications used per day. Specifically, over 72% of adults use at least 1 or more medications, and 20% use 4 or more medications. Remember that word polypharmacy that I used earlier. That is actually defined as 3 or more medications per day, and there's quite a few of us that actually fall into that category right now. Let's see. Risk can also increase with poor adherence to medications. That can mean maybe taking too much or too little of your medications, not taking them on time. And side effects of, lost my notes. Side effects in specific are another aspect of medications that can increase the risk. Some of these side effects can be both expected or unexpected. Specifically, the ones that really put you at increased fall risk are change in mentation or confusion, drowsiness, the loss of balance or dizziness, vision changes, slowed reaction time or sedation, and increased ambulation. Also, when we talked a little bit about polypharmacy in particular, unfortunately, when you start taking more medications, you have more increased risk for interactions between those medications, as well as some of those side effects that we just listed there. And that can actually cause what we call a prescribing cascade, meaning that side effects might be mistaken as a new symptom, and a new medication is actually prescribed to combat that side effect. So it just becomes this rolling ball of, making bad things worse. So that's really important to understand that the more medications that you add to the picture, kind of the more risk you add overall.
Which medications actually carry the higher risks? Well, there's several different classes of commonly used medications that carry the higher risk for older adults. I like to split them up into about 4 main categories. That means those that affect brain function, those that can lower blood pressure, lower blood sugar, and one that increases, and the ones that increase ambulation frequency. I'll kind of go through this slide fairly quickly. Some of these names you may or may not be familiar with. Some of them you might. Some of the most common drugs that carry the higher risk for fall that affect brain function, number one in the big ticket item are what we call benzodiazepines. These are usually prescribed for sleep or anxiety. If you don't recognize their generic name, many of you may know them as Ativan, Xanax, Valium. There's many others, but those are some of the most common ones. Sedatives are what we call hypnotics. We usually use those for sleep or insomnia. Some pretty common ones for that are Ambien, Sonata, Lunesta. Those are all in that category. Antipsychotics, I know that sounds like a very bad word, but we actually use them a lot in conjunction with some antidepressant medications, and they're pretty frequently used in those with dementia or Alzheimer's to kind of help combat some difficult behaviors. Some common ones of those might include Seroquel, Risperdal, Zyprexa, Abilify, anticonvulsants or mood stabilizers. Depakote is actually used to treat difficult behaviors, again, in dementia and Alzheimer's. I've also used it for migraines. It has kind of an off-label use for that. Another one that's really common and a lot of people take are Neurontin or gabapentin. We use that for nerve pain pretty frequently. It is also, and actually was initially designed to be a seizure medication, so that's where the anticonvulsant aspect comes in on that. Antidepressants. Sometimes, again, earlier when I said that a lot of these medications are necessary, you just have to weigh the risk versus benefits. This might be one. This is one of those in that category as well. Of course, for anxiety, depression, we include Zoloft, Celexa, Lexapro, Paxil. Oh, louder. Gotcha. Sorry. Is Zoloft, Celexa, Lexapro, Paxil. The list kind of goes on. TCAs or tricyclic antidepressants. Some of the old ones with that are trazodone or amitriptyline. We can also use that for nerve pain as well as sleep. Opioid pain relievers, specifically narcotics, that's your hydrocodone, morphine, fentanyl, and then anticholinergics. These may include some over-the-counter medications, Benadryl, the Tylenol PMs, Anavert, Dramamine, as well as prescription medications like Ditropan, Detrol, Phenergan, Flexeril, and hydroxyzine. Medications that lower blood pressures are in that category. There's several to list there. Almost pretty much anything that you give for blood pressure can cause a sudden drop in blood pressure, and then sometimes over time you may have to adjust those medications. Another one called alpha blockers, specifically Flomax, Hytrin, or Cardura or Minipress. Those can tend to cause a sudden drop in blood pressure. Again, most of the time, the benefits of these medications greatly outweigh the risks. For instance, prevention of stroke with hypertension. But it is important to be aware that they can cause the sudden drop in blood pressure, and what you can do to prevent that. Specifically, perhaps, once you get up out of bed of a morning, that you sit on the side of the bed for a few minutes before you actually stand, slower position changes, and just kind of be aware of your overall well-being. You'll know when your body's not quite right, and of course be able to alert your physician so that any adjustments that need to be made can. Medications that affect blood sugar, specifically
The insulins, almost all of those can definitely cause a sudden drop in blood sugar. The short-actings specifically, there's combo medications and then long-acting medications as well that can cause low blood sugar. I would definitely, encourage you to understand which ones do what. And another specific one besides the insulins are what we call sulfonylureas. You may know them as glipizide or glyburide. They work really well. They do a great job, but they are some that can actually cause you to have a pretty quick drop in blood sugar. A lot of patients, sometimes if they take their medicine in the morning and they come to yoga class or gym class and they didn't eat anything with their breakfast, or didn't eat anything for breakfast or before they came, expending a lot of energy can actually lower your blood sugar, and then kind of just causes a little recipe for disaster there. So that's something to really have a good understanding of. Medications that cause increased ambulation. I know for the most part, we really want to ambulate more. We want to get out. We want to exercise. We want to work on that gait. But there are some medications that may cause what I would call excessive ambulation, or maybe rushed ambulation. That would be your diuretics, also known Lasix, furosemide, HCTZ or hydrochlorothiazide, and then also laxatives. I can't tell you, working years in the ER, how many falls I have seen related to, I couldn't make it to the bathroom in time, and that simply happens. It absolutely does. So those are some medications, and in those 4 categories that put you at higher risk. One of the things that I also want to point out is that not all of these medications put you at it. It doesn't really particularly matter whether or not these side effects occur at initiation of the medication, but some of these medications can be chronic. You can be on them for a long period of time and still end up having some of these side effects and have an increased risk for falls. What can you do to help? First and foremost, and I'll echo Madelyn as well, please talk to your healthcare provider. Regular medication reviews, at least annually, for those of you who are on several medications. Our goal usually is, when it's appropriate, to decrease, stop, or change medications that may put you at higher risk. The review that is available, definitely look into that. I'd like to point out as well, never stop or adjust your medications without consulting your healthcare provider. That can actually cause some of an increased risk as well. Talk with your pharmacist. They are an excellent resource to reach out to. They can help you be aware of some of the possible side effects or interactions of the medications that you take, as well as even give suggestions on how to decrease or change medications to decrease your risk. So sometimes they can give you a little fuel to talk to your provider about and say, hey, look, my pharmacist said I'm on these 2 medications. Is there something else that maybe we could try that could, decrease my risk for fall? I always say, please bring an accurate list of all medications, like I said earlier, both prescribed and over the counter. Any kind of supplements that you might take, all of those have the chance to interact and cause some pretty bad side effects. So always want to be pretty detailed in everything that you take. A lot of people, I've even had them say, oh, I don't take anything, but they actually take, Claritin or Zyrtec on a daily basis. And even though that's over the counter and allergy medication, that's still a medication that you want to put on your list. Even ibuprofen, just when you need it, or Tylenol, is something to put on that list. I'll be honest with you, you can bring the medication bottles with you. We love that. We actually really, really like it when you do that. I would also encourage you to make a list of questions about medications to ask your healthcare provider or your pharmacist when you go to talk to them. And that way you can say, hey, I really want to understand how this works or what it does. I want to know, is there anything else that I can do? And then also use resources that are available to self-screen for your increased risk, much like the resources that Madelyn has mentioned today. The link that I provided there is to the CDC website for their STEADY program. It's just a quick questionnaire that you can look at. I know that they're in the process of updating that as well to make it more current, but it's something to, at least a starting place so that you can say, hey, gosh, I do take those medicines, or, I do have that. So it's an extra tool in your belt to help you ask questions. As always, I'm happy to help you. If you have any questions, feel free to stop in the clinic anytime. I'd be happy to go through your medications. If you want to schedule an appointment and do a medication review with me, I'm happy to do that as well. Guys, have a great day today, and I will talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Sarah. Perfect. So I know last week we talked a lot about medication management for last year's fall prevention, and it's something we definitely can't stress enough, just to be an advocate for yourself. Know what medications you're taking. Reach out to your trusted doctors, pharmacists. So thank you so much, Tenessa, for that. Up next, we have got Kendra Orcutt, and she is going to talk a little bit about your home environment and what you can do to make yourself safer. So let me pull up the right PowerPoint here. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about Kendra. Kendra is an occupational therapist whose professional career has specialized in providing geriatric services. She started her own therapy contract company in 2002, added a home modification company in 2013 with her business partner. She is currently the owner of Home Mods, a company that provides home modification, home health therapy visits, consulting, and education. Kendra received her Master's of Occupational Therapy from Texas Women's University in 1992, after first earning her Bachelor's of Fine Arts from the University of Oklahoma. In 2014, she became an approved instructor to train certified aging in place specialists through the National Association of Home Builders. She earned a specialty certification in environmental modifications from the American Occupational Therapists Association in 2015 and is one of 16 in the nation. Yeah.
No, sorry.
She is a volunteer for AARP as well as serving on the curriculum advisory board for HLOKC and the OU Occupational Therapy Program. She's also involved in the steering committee for the city environment ADA transition.
Thank you very much. All right. And hopefully I will be able to operate it. I apologize for getting here late. Okay. Thank you so much for the introduction. I am going to take off my mask so my glasses will quit fogging. That will help me see much better. Okay, so click here and then, sorry, there's a learning curve here for me. I'll do some humming for you as we figure it out. And then I can click where? Just right there. Perfect. All right, you guys, so basically I have some slides showing you environmental concerns. The first two presenters went over things you can do to prevent falls. I don't know how much the viewers know about occupational therapy, but our specialty is adaptation. So what we do is we help adapt either the activity or your environment. So modifying the environment has become an emerging area of practice for OTs. And there's two slides of statistics, which you heard quite a bit about. Basically, falling is a significant area of injury for older adults as we age, which we've been covering. Out of the people who fall, a large percentage will suffer injuries. And out of those people who suffer injuries, a large percentage of those are experiencing accidents at home. One of the things that I found exciting in the research that I did was that the American Journal of Preventive Medicine determined that addressing home hazards with the assistance of an occupational therapist would prevent the greatest number of medically treated falls and avert the most indirect medical cost. That to me is a big deal. because that's something we can control. A lot of the things that happen to us as we age are, sometimes they feel a little bit beyond our control. And this is what I came across when I've been doing home health, which we've been going into the home and doing that since 2002 myself. And but the thing I can definitely do something about is affect the environment. I can make the house behave and support you in your home. And I found that very empowering for not only myself, but for my clients and for the patients' families. And so this is really what sparked my interest and my education in this area. So we're going to look at some of these things. I've used the AARP Home Fit Guide as a template of sorts to kind of walk you through some of this information. So we'll go through that. Because one of my favorite things about their Home Fit Guide is they say right in there, you should use an occupational therapist to help you look at these hazards and specifically find people who are certified aging in place specialists, as it listed in my bio, which I apologize for being so long. But one of the things that they're talking about is the missing piece in putting all of this together in your home setting is implementing it. Okay, so you get an assessment, you figure out what's wrong. We know that we need to do the physical activity, but it's putting it together at home and modifying your house to make that support you that has been a missing piece. And that's what I find really exciting in what I'm doing. And so what we try to do is help you recognize what things can you do at home that will help it support your needs and your lifestyle, the things that you want to do in your home. And these are the 5 points that they're really trying to drive home, is we would like you to have a no-step entry into your home so that just getting into your house is not a hazard for you or the people who come to visit you. Extra wide hallways and doors, and we're going to go through each of these items. Single floor living, so that whoever is in the house can go to the bathroom on the first floor if they need to, if they come to visit. Lever handle styles on doors and faucets is not related to falls, but it has to do with easy access. And then accessible electronic controls can really affect whether you fall or not because of reaching for them. So I'll go over that for you. The no-step entrance. This looks beautiful. You know, you can just walk straight up to the front door. This is what it looked like before. You have 2 steps, and you know we've all seen these 6-inch concrete steps up to the front door. This has just become standard practice when people were building homes, but it is a simple, relatively simple solution to eliminate those steps, and it looks really good. And this is going to be something you hear me talk about in each and every slide, because a lot of the hesitation in making these modifications in your home, above and beyond just the pain of remodeling, is that it's going to look ugly. It's going to look different. And I can promise you that we can make it look better, and it will be an upgrade to your home rather than a detriment. What we talk about with ramps are that the ramps on the front of the home can signal that the homeowner may have a limitation. It also automatically alerts opportunists. It says somebody in the home has some limitations, and so we would really like to limit those if at all possible and only install them when you don't have another way into the home. If you do have to do a ramp, which sometimes is not avoidable, the standard ratio of length to rise is 1 inch per 1 foot per 1 inch. So if I have, for instance, a crawl space that is 24 inches up off the ground, I need 24 foot of ramp. Well, that can be a lot to fit in your front yard. And we have a lot of homes. I live in Norman. There's a lot of homes that are on a 24-inch crawl space. So I am currently doing that to my home to try out a version to see how that's going to look, that hide the ramp as a sidewalk, and see how I can make that look. And I have some examples for you. Here are some pictures of some ramps that have been blended into the style of the home. So at least if it is a ramp, it matches the style of the house so that you can hide things in plain view when they look like they belong to the home. Here is an example of a sidewalk instead of a ramp. We had that concrete step. This is a house we did in Norman that was for a group home. And so instead of doing a ramp, we simply tore out the sidewalk and re-poured it, and then we backfilled the dirt up to the sidewalk. So there's no need for a rail. There's no need to point it out. It is simply the sidewalk up to the front porch. And that's easier there. Here we have a greater challenge. This is a home that is 56 inches up off the driveway. So obviously that's a lot harder problem to solve, and we did it this way, where we wrapped a sidewalk around the front flower bed, which I think you would agree enhances the flower bed and gets you access to the front porch. So there's ways around this. You just have to do some creative thinking. There are vertical lifts. This is more of what I would call a medical model. To me, it still looks like something that would signify there's somebody there with a limitation, but there are times where this is the only way to get somebody into a home. You can install this both inside and outside. And it's a platform that will just raise you, from the ground up to the height of the home. Here's an example of one that has been camouflaged to fit into the restaurant. And this is a solution that you can use in any situation where you blend it into the decor of the location that you're using it. So this is, I think, Cafe Brazil, and I love what they did. They just painted it to fit their decor, and it blends right in. But this is my favorite thing. This is new on the market, and this is called Flex Step. And it is stairs when you need it to be stairs, and it is a lift when you need it to be a lift. And it is new on the market, which translates to expensive, but as everything in technology, the longer it's on the market, the more the price will come down. So it goes all the way flat to the ground, as you can see in the picture, and then the person rolls onto it and then lifts up to the next height. And they have them from 2 steps up to 5 or 6 steps. So I've been wanting this for a very long time. Technology finally caught up with my desire. So I'm just waiting for the client who wants to install this. Okay, so we've gotten you up to the front door. Now you have to get into the house without tripping. And even those little bitty thresholds can be a real hazard with a walker with wheels. You just stop dead when you're trying to go forward with your walker. So we're going to look at that. You have several different solutions you can do to modify your entrance. And this is what I'm talking about. This little, I don't know if you guys can see the arrow when I move it, but this dark line here is an inch threshold. Almost all front doors come with that inch threshold. And it's a water barrier so that you don't have weather elements coming in your front door. So it's a very practical reason that they do it, but it does not help those of us who have to roll over it. An ADA threshold is maybe 1/4 of an inch high, and it's a very smooth transition, but you have to do some pre-thinking to install that. You have to slope the concrete away from the door. You also have to have a covered entrance so that you're not having the driving rain coming in. But with some pre-planning, you can do that, and you can do it after construction as well. It just takes some more work. But what you can do here, we have some other solutions for you. You can put in threshold ramps, and these are little mini ramps that will accommodate that surface height difference. My preference would be that you use a rubber one as opposed to this metal one, because this looks like a hazard waiting to happen to your toes. I just see, diabetic feet getting hurt on this. The rubber ones are heavier, but they're low cost, and the benefit of these is you can get them in a multitude of heights, or you can cut them to be the right height so that you have a nice smooth transition, whether your door is 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, because everybody's door is different heights, and you have it from outside in, and once you get inside, you have that 1 inch difference often, depending on what the surface of your floor is inside. And they act as a rubber mat like you put outside your door. So it is a low profile. You don't really notice it, and it does two functions for you. So that's one thing. Another thing I like to mention here when we're talking about in and out of the front door that often does not get addressed, as you mentioned about people falling, urgency, trying to get to the bathroom, I have a lot of people fall trying to take the trash out. And it's something we often overlook. Also, going out to get the mail. I just got a call last week from another OT saying, what do you do about the storm door? This lady wants to go out and get her mail. It's the one thing that she likes to do, and she can't manage her walker over the threshold out the front door with the storm door. And I'm like, I know, stupid doors. You know, there's just too many things to manage, and those are things you can look at. And we talked about, well, if we got rid of the threshold, that's one barrier that's gone for falling, right? But now we've got to get the storm door to stay open. You know, we can take off the storm door, we can remove the hinges, but then you've got Oklahoma wind. You know, I think the low-tech solution we came up with was maybe we could put a wedge in there so it would stay open while she was out. But these are things you really have to think about. Where is the mailbox in relation to, you know, we haven't even talked about, are there steps to go out to get the mail? But this trash can solution is a really big thing. You know, in thinking about that, I've had a lot of people that, you know, felt they were safe going out and coming back up the driveway with their trash can, but turning to come back in, they turned an ankle or stepped over a curb and fell. So these are things you really have to pay attention to. They seem like innocent activities until they're not. So these are things you want to think about in your day-to-day activities. We move into another one of the areas that they talk about in the Home Fit Guide, which is wider entryways and doorways. And the reason for this is twofold. One is, if you are in a seated position in a wheelchair, you need more turning radius to get into areas. Just because your wheelchair will fit through a doorway doesn't mean that you can make the turning radius to get into an area. So if you do need to be in a seated position, or if you need a walker for stability, you need that turning radius to make the turn, okay? But the other thing is, it's easier to move. So the easier it is to make turns, the safer it is. One of the things I noticed from years of working in the nursing home was we had patients who were perfectly fine until they turned corners. They always fell. And this is I know we have PT coming up after me, and this is just a very common thing when you start to age, that our vestibular system doesn't accommodate as well, and we are more likely to fall when we turn. And so the safer and simpler and easier we can make what we do at home, the safer we are at home. So that is one of the things to take into consideration when you're looking at your environment. One of the ways you can make a doorway wider that is low cost is something called mortised hinges. If you use that word, you'll never find these hinges. They're called swing away hinges or swing clear. They're $7 at Lowe's. They're on the lower shelf by the gate hinges in case you want to go look for them. And they're very simple to just take your regular door hinges off and replace them. What they do is they get your door back out of the opening of your doorway. So they add a good 1.5 inches to your opening, and often that is the difference in you being able to go straight through with a walker, as opposed to trying to learn how to sidestep with a walker to get to your bathroom when you have urgency and you need to get in there quickly, or you've had a stroke and you really don't need to try to learn how to do a new task while trying to go through a doorway. So it seems like a simple thing, but you don't want a hazard. You don't want a barrier between you and your toilet. You want to get there quickly. So, speaking of the bathroom, this is where we fall. This is where we always fall. And it's where everything's hard, and wet. And you don't want to fall wet and naked. That's just not where you want it to happen, okay? So we want the bathroom to be the safest that we can possibly be. This is a beautiful example of a nice, wide, open bathroom. You can see they have the zero threshold walk-in shower. They have a wheelchair accessible sink here. They have grab bars around the toilet. it's just a nice example. I'm going to show you some other pictures of some modifications that we've done so you can see sort of the before and after of what it was and what it can be. These are the features that we would like to see in there. We'd like to see the raised toilet height. A comfort height toilet is slightly taller than your standard ones, or sometimes greatly higher than some of the older homes. There's the little bitty short toilets in our older homes. And the higher the surface to stand up off of, the less effort it takes, and therefore the less opportunity to fall. It makes it easier for you to stand up, so it's safer. Grab bars, obviously, they need to be located where they are beneficial to you, not just where the studs happen to be that your handyman tells you he can put them in. So this is why they recommend you have an OT, look at where you need them and have them positioned where you need them. There's a difference between needing to push up as opposed to pulling yourself up, depending on how your shoulders are doing and where your deficits are. We'd like the handheld adjustable shower head. How we lived without these before, I do not know. I mean, just rinsing out your shower is, let alone using them on yourself. So this is a very, to me, seems like a necessity anymore. So we're going to click. These are some very inexpensive options for safety for grab bars. These are called toilet safety frames, and you can see they simply attach to your toilet. So there's no modification to your home. You just attach it to the toilet and allows you to push up. It also, to me, I think of it as a catcher's mitt. A lot of people have fallen in between their toilet and their wall, and that is a very difficult place. Not only do you get hurt, it's difficult to get up from there, and it's embarrassing. And so this keeps you from being able to do that. And it's inexpensive and an easy solution. There's also things that don't even look like a grab bar. I personally really like these flip down grab bars because they allow a lot of different options for different people to use this toilet. They are somewhat more institutional looking, which I don't like, but sometimes that's what we need. Oops, hang on. Here's one where we went from the infamous toilet closet, which I really don't like because I can't get in there to help you. If you have to go in front of me in a wheelchair, I can't get to you. If I have to go in front of you so that you can come in a wheelchair, now how are you supposed to get to the toilet? So it makes it very clear very quickly why that limited of access around the toilet is difficult. And this is a solution that we did, and we also installed a bidet toilet seat, which can be beneficial for hygiene. This is a picture showing you why you need space next to the toilet. This is a sliding transfer where sometimes the way you need to get to the toilet is from the side, not just being able to come up from the front, the 60-inch turning radius. These are all things that will help you prevent falling around the toilet. These are other low-cost solutions for getting in a shower. You can do a transfer tub bench so that anytime you're transitioning from one surface to another, you're at risk for falling, especially when water's involved. Again, back to the naked and wet. So sit down and swing your legs in is safer than stepping over on one foot when you might fall. Here is a standard apartment complex bathroom. We did not change the footprint of the bathroom, but made it a walk-in shower. Just simply rotated the toilet to get out of the way and made it a safer setting. Here's another one. Pull out the tub, walk-in shower. Here's another one, garden tub. A lot of people can relate to this. You can't, how do you get up and over that edge and get in that tub, and then how do you get back out safely as opposed to just walking into a shower? So these are all areas where you're at risk for falling that we can do something about, and often it is an area where you're tired of it. You know, the most common comment I get is, I bought the home because of the tub. I've used it twice. I'm ready to get rid of it. I'd like to update the bathroom, and it's a great solution. The kitchen is an area that you typically don't think of as falling, except for the fact that you do a lot of turning. You know, you mentioned Tai Chi earlier, I believe you did. And the thing I love about Tai Chi is that you are thinking about what your hands are doing while you're moving your body. And that is what happens in the kitchen. You are doing something with your hands and you're turning and doing something with your body. And that's where we fall often, because we're not paying attention to the two different things that are happening. And this is where good design in the kitchen can help prevent you from falling. If you have it ergonomically set up where it's simple for you to get to, you're not bending over to reach to something that's hard to reach. You can see what you're doing, or you can sit down because you're tired and your back hurts. So these are good design features. How am I doing on time? Okay. And this lists different features that you would like to see in your kitchen. Having different work heights is a very nice feature. Because the two areas that people remodel the most often are your bathrooms and your kitchens. And if you get anything from hearing me speak today, if you know anybody or you yourself are remodeling, you want to make sure that they are thinking about these features before they do that work, so that they get the most bang for their buck, that they do, they make the home easier, safer, and more accessible for them while making it updated. Stairs are sort of a given that you are a fall risk, so I think it's pretty straightforward. You need handrails on both sides. You might be carrying something in the other hand. So just because you have a rail on one side, what about when you're going down? My mother fell just last year doing this exact thing. So I can speak to it personally. You want to make sure the stairs are lit so that you see what you're stepping on. You also don't want your carpet to have crazy pattern on it so that you can distinguish one edge from the other. And you want to have a non-slip surface so that your foot has a good grip as you step down on it. One of the areas I see a lot of people fall is in the bedroom, and it's not discussed a lot, but bed cover, if there's not enough room around the bed, when you get up to go to the bathroom at night, you can trip over the end of the covers at the bed. I've had that happen a lot, or clothing that's left on the floor. And that's often just a function of there's not enough room in the bedroom. Sometimes it's because the house is small, but often it can be solved with reducing some of the furniture in the bedroom. But it's an area that gets overlooked because we're focused on the bathroom or, other areas. This is just a picture where we made sure that we had extra room around the bed so that we could get a walker and a wheelchair. I'd like to see 3 feet at least so that you can get up around the bed on both sides, because you have to transfer from maybe a seated position into the bed. That needs to be safe. Again, that's an area where people fall. And the bed needs to be the right height. This is not mentioned in this slides, but often I have to adjust the height of a bed because the person will slide off the edge of the bed onto the floor, and then the wife or the husband can't get them back up because they're too hard to lift. The other places in the home that you want to make sure are safe are the other areas that you do things, the laundry room, the garage, the living room. Again, it was mentioned, pick up clutter, keep your pathways clear. Make things ergonomically easy for you to reach so that you don't lose your balance and fall. And this is where the light fixtures and the plugs come into play. Light switches, not so much, because they're all pretty much where you can reach them, but you want them to be easy so that you can turn the lights on. You want to have well-lit areas. We need more light as we age. I did at least one house where there was a different level of lighting and a different color of light in each room, and that really made it difficult for this gentleman who had low vision. So having the same consistent lighting throughout the house can be very beneficial. But more than that, reaching for these electrical plugs, once you add bifocal or trifocal glasses and you're trying to bend over to see something, my glasses move out of place and now I can't see what I'm looking for. So having them up higher where you can reach them is more beneficial than I initially thought as I have gotten older. So another thing that you want to think about is smart home technology. There are a lot of things that are out there, and this is such a fast growing area that you really need to seek an expert in this area for consultation, but there are more devices that can help you assess and monitor falls and security for your home. And you have to, there's a wide variety of tools out there. And then, the other thing I want to talk about with falls and safety are making sure that it seems so simple, but why do we not all have motion sensor lights when we come up to our front door at night? I mean, that should be a given, that the light comes on so you can see what you're doing. The other thing I always like to mention is you want your address to be well lit and well seen so that if you do have an emergent need, the ambulance is not looking for you. They can see your address easily from the street. When you're doing leisure activities, it's all well and good to do all of your ADLs, but you want to have quality of life. What other things do you like to do? Pets. How many people have fallen taking care of their pets? Well, my dog had to go to the bathroom and I tripped, well, I had to get food for the dog, or cleaning litter boxes, or all of these other tasks that we need to think about how it's set up, where is it, can I get to it easily, and am I challenging my balance to do it? So there's a lot of different things in your home that you might overlook that could put you at risk for falling. 30% of our Oklahomans need accessible housing. Only 3% of our homes offer some level of accessibility, and that might just be, wider doorways. Well, that doesn't take care of the zero threshold entrance or the accessible bathroom or any of those things. So what we need to do is renovate our existing housing stock. It's an ultimate recycling program. And when we have questions, we can go over that at the end, I believe. And this is my contact information. So that is it for me. All right. And that's it. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Information there. It's like definitely safety conscious.
Right.
Beautiful design. So up next, we've got another familiar face here at Healthy Living OKC. You've probably seen him in the hallways. We've got Derrick Crampton here. He is a licensed and practicing physical therapist in Oklahoma for 25 years now. He is the center manager at Select Physical Therapy at Gaillardia, a nationwide company with over 2,000 outpatient facilities. Derrick has served people with developmental disabilities, orthopedic and spine injuries, and chronic pain in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Clinton, Oklahoma. Derrick has been on site at MAPS 3 at our Healthy Living Center here for over 3 years and currently assists runners throughout Oklahoma City Metro and athletes at Deer Creek High School and Putnam City North High School. Derrick is here today to conclude our fall prevention discussion with information about exercise and footwear. So thank you so much for being here. And again, if you got any questions, just go ahead and put them down below. Sorry, we're on the wrong screen there, so we should be good there. Thank you so much.
Thank you much. Hello, everybody. It is 11 o'clock, and I'll try to wrap this up as quickly as possible. And I will try my best to stay on screen because if you know me at all, I move around a lot. Madelyn, Tenessa, and Kendra covered statistics and general information for falls prevention, polypharmacy, medication influence, falling at home, modifications that can be made to your home to all reduce the risk of falling. Why is that important? Reducing your risk is what this is all about. Falls happen. Things in life happen. And that's why you have physical therapy. That's why you have medical practices. If you can reduce your risk, that's what this is all about. You can crawl up on a ladder, for instance, to change a light bulb. And there's a risk of falling there. But your risk is much less crawling up a ladder to change a light bulb than if you stack a rolling chair on top of your ottoman, on top of your couch in order to change the light bulb. Think about that for a second. Your risk for falling is very high if you start stacking furniture in order to reach a light bulb. So this is all about reducing your risk for falling. I'm here, as I said, to wrap this up. The definition, you guys know me. Those of you that know me know I like to use simple terminology. You're given a definition for falling, and it's not hard. It's an unexpected event that results in a sudden movement toward the ground without time to react. So there are things in life where that happens. You can reduce your risk for falling by getting rid of your trip hazards, throw rugs, extension cords across your walkway. You can address risk for falling by addressing medications and medication interactions, and Tenessa went over that. You can reduce clutter in your house. I'm not going to say reduce your pets, especially in this shelter at home. We need our pets. But sometimes those pets, especially if we have way too many, or if there's not a lot of obedience going on, sometimes those pets can wrap around our feet in their zeal to show how much they love us and want to be near us. So getting some control over the pets, not a bad idea there. We went over home environment, blood pressure. If you're finding yourself dizzy every time you stand up or every time you change positions, you might have a blood pressure issue. It's a good thing to discuss with your doctor. It's a good thing to discuss with your primary care physician. It's a good thing to discuss with your pharmacist, because some of those medications, as Tenessa pointed out, some of those medications react with each other, especially if you're on diuretics. So get into that and look those up, especially if you're having those symptoms when you first stand up. My last little point to deal with is exercise. Tai Chi was mentioned. There's a lot of classes here at the Healthy Living Center that you can participate in. There's Tai Chi for beginners. There's chair yoga. There's water aerobics. You can get involved with the personal trainers and have the personal trainers work with you in the weight room, have the personal trainers work with you in the water, have the personal trainers consult with you on which classes to go to. Your physical therapist here at the Healthy Living Center can talk to you about which classes are best for you with all of the things that you've going on. The last thing I want to discuss quickly is targeting exercises that directly influence your balance. Besides standing on one leg and trying not to fall over, there are some very good exercises that you can do that will help you gain your strength, help you gain your confidence, and help you gain your balance. I'm going to go over a couple of those very quickly. The first one is called toe yoga. Those of you who have been with me for a while, you've seen me demonstrate this. I'm going to see if I can get it up on screen. There is the foot. So toe yoga starts off with the big toe up, the outside toes down. Hold for 10 seconds. You do 5 of these. Then it goes big toe down, outside toes up. Hold for a count of 10. Do 5 of these. That is a simple exercise to increase your foot strength. The foot is tied neurologically to the hip stabilizers. If you can activate your foot, and if you're trying it right now going, oh my gosh, I can't move my toes at all, there might be a problem, and it's a simple way that you can improve your balance and reduce your risk for falling just by activating those toes and getting them moving. That neuromuscular junction between the great toe, the big toe, and your hips, get that thing activated and you will see a dramatic change in your balance. I've watched it over and over again. I see it with my runners. I see it with all of my athletes. They get better whenever they've got better foot strength. As with any exercise, when you start an exercise program, you're going to be a little bit weaker for a short period of time, approximately about 2 weeks, until you start gaining some strength. So there are things you can do to help yourself with foot strength while you're a little bit weaker, while you're trying to get stronger. Is everybody with me on that? One of those things you can do is check out your footwear. So this is just an average everyday sneaker. Footwear, the things you want to look for on footwear is how much heel control is there. So a lack of heel control, it's really soft and squishy right here in the heel. Okay. The other thing to look at is how much flexibility is there in the shoe. Is it easy to twist? There are shoes that have a lot of heel control. When you squeeze the heel, it doesn't squeeze at all. You can see this shoe has a little reinforced area right on the heel. That gives you more heel control. This shoe is pretty flexible. You got to have a relatively strong foot to be in this one. I picked up Tenessa's shoe off of her right before I came on because I wanted to point this out. This shoe has a pretty decent amount of heel control. It's hard to squeeze the heel of the shoe. It is a little bit flexible, but Nike has come up. Let's see if I can get the angle right. Nike's come up with a little ingenious engineering where they have sloped the sole of the shoe out to provide a wider platform. A shoe like this will give you a wider base of support. I believe there's a Hawaiian saying it's like "Iula imuhula," wider is better. A wide base of support gives you better balance. So a shoe like this will help you significantly. This shoe also has a really cool tread on it that's perfect for court sports, for all you pickleballers out there. I'm using a shoe with a lug on it. I don't have an example of that here, but just like your Bigfoot mud gripper tires have that big lug on them. Shoes with a Bigfoot mud gripper tire lug on them, not the best for court type sports or the weight room. You want to get a shoe that's a court type shoe that has a pretty good flat, but lots of little grooves to grip. Okay, not those big lugs. So that's the last thing I want to say about footwear. That pretty well sums things up. I probably created a lot of questions for you guys, and I went over things very, very quickly. Feel free to stop by Healthy Living OKC and talk to me anytime you want. Everybody else left their phone numbers. You can reach me. My cards are at the front. You can call me at 753-9064. That's 405-753-9064. Replay this thing back. Talk to Healthy Living Center about how to access this video and play it back. They can help you with all of those things. Remember, with falls, if you can reduce your risk for falling, that's what you're after. Home modifications, check your medications, go on to the websites that have been mentioned here to help you do those things on your own at home, and then get help. It's perfectly fine to ask for help. So you guys have a great day. I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie. You guys have a great one.
Thank you so much to all of our guest speakers today. Hopefully everyone's got a good amount of information that they can start the conversation with their loved ones that live in the home with them, or maybe with your doctor, your pharmacist, just to kind of start thinking over what your risks might be. So a lot of you might be interested in looking back at the slides. Like I know Tenessa had a good amount of medications listed, and even though you might know the medication you're taking, you might not know its classification and how it can affect you. So we're going to give us a little bit of time, but we'll link to all the speakers' slides on our Facebook. We'll probably do an additional post. And then also, Madelyn has told us that she has access to depression, medication management, and fall risk assessments. So that's something that we're doing here locally at the health department. Oh, got you. Okay, so she'll get us the information for that. We'll link to that as well. And then also the National Council on Aging has a 12-question questionnaire that can help you assess your risk for fall. So we'll link to that as well. So I hope that each of you will take the time to go and take those quizzes to assess your risk and kind of pair that with what you've learned today. And if you think of any questions after the fact, we have both Derrick and Tenessa here on site at Healthy Living, and I can also get your questions over to Kendra and Madelyn. So definitely feel free to reach out, and thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you guys at next year's fall prevention. So please take care. Bye-bye.